So, hey there and welcome. Welcome to the Liquid Mind Spot. I am Enrico and I am super thrilled about today's episode. Here at Liquid Minds, we're all about tearing down walls, embracing tech, and keeping that endless curiosity alive. Our guest today truly, I think, embodies all of that and actually then some. So, I want you to meet Itay Talgam, a former orchestral conductor who now conducts people. He's an expert in creating harmony and collaboration among teams and has shared his wisdom on leadership and influence with some of the world's top companies, nonprofits, university, you name it. He's spoken at places like TED, Google Zeitgeist, and even at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Wow. So, with a lifetime of conducting behind him, Itai has led orchestras across Europe, becoming the first Israeli conductor to perform with the St. Petersburg Philharmonic and Leipzig Opera House. He's also made his mark in the US and has, of course, conducted and recorded countless times with all the Israel's major orchestra. So I want to give you a very warm welcome to Itay Talgam.
Thank
How
you.
are you today, Itay? How are you?
Well, all things considered and the situation of the world, yeah,
Mm,
personally, I'm very well. Thank you.
good. So what we do here is we normally start in a very fluid and informal way, chatting with our guests about their life and experiences. And I did my homework, Itay. Well, actually, my homework started when I knew you in Romania. It was amazing. But to prepare for this conversation, I read your book, The Ignorant Maestro. Okay? And I was struck at the beginning of the book by the following phrase. So, the phrase is this, I quote, I have been a conductor of people in business and other vital pursuits. I have used the lesson of the podium to advise leaders in fields I know next to nothing about. Is that's you, okay? That's you writing. So my first question is, what was on your mind when you wrote it? Because it's a quite blunt remark.
Well, okay. I think, right. It's an open check that I to actually when one can spend the whole day thinking about that. But I have to say immediately in I guess the same paragraph, I explained that this whole title of the book, The Ignorant Maestro, is an homage to a French philosopher, Rancière, who
Yeah,
is, in his turn, made an homage to a 19th century French
yeah.
intellectual, yeah, an educator
Yes,
who claimed, the original thinker, that an ignorant can teach another ignorant what he himself does not know,
yes.
which is a fantastic.
Very deep, huh? Very deep.
Yeah, but one has to be careful because most of those phrases that sound maybe just a hot air balloon, but I think this is not. And just to jump to the end of the discussion, which is fascinating, and I recommend you and everybody to actually read this, The Ignorant Schoolmaster by
Yes.
Rancière. And what he says basically is that the educator does not have to validate the knowledge itself. That is, he or she does not have to validate what the student will know at the end. What she, the educator, has to do is to validate the process in which new knowledge that she herself, as the educator, might not be aware of at all. But this new knowledge will be created through a process that she or he, the educators, will support. And all I did, very humbly and with immediate acknowledgement of the sources, and for me it was very good that my source once here is already taking from it. So it's a chain of, we never invent something really new. We only put things in new contexts, in new
Yes.
lights, in new perspectives, and hoping to get something out of it. So I took this notion, which I think is really very deep, and took it to leadership. Again, here I say, the ignorant maestro, and I don't mean this kind of ignorance that means that you're a simpleton or an idiot, but this kind of ability to actually, shall I use the word liquid or liquidize? I'm not sure it's exactly that, but maybe it has some echo of that.
Yes.
To take what you know and somehow manage to put a veil of ignorance and say, okay, let me start from a fresh point, fresh thinking, and not even trying to predict what the end result of the process of me and the team and my leadership and their work will lead to, but rather make sure that I can support those people that are on my team, so that they will get to the highest places they can get to, which again are something I might be completely ignorant of. As their leader, I don't know where they will take me.
Wow. I listening to you, it's kind of it's so interesting because we have so much in common. I mean, so much in common. Some years ago, I was giving a speech, and I was talking about all the roles in companies that we don't know they will be in the next 5, 10 years. So we don't know. We 3 years ago we didn't know anything about AI, and now everybody is suddenly is an expert in AI because they understand, but nobody really started it. So the ignorance in that perspective is a form of liquidity, of fluidification. And by the way, um, I was very surprised, and I've been looking at your speech again, and not only the one in Romania where we share the stage, but if I quote you again, and I really like this, is you tell people that these lessons may lead us to some unexpected perspective, where you begin to listen to the world around you. But people and work, they work in a musical way, and I loved it. I will tell you that I love music. So identifying patterns within a flow. Now, flow is a key word from my perspective. So what do you mean about that? I mean, what is this musical way that you should listen day in and day out?
Well, yeah, but right to the point. Again, very, very, I think, potentially deep. Is first of all the notion that nothing stays the same.
Yeah.
We didn't invent that.
Yes.
Yeah, cannot
Nothing.
enter the same
Zero.
river twice, um, and therefore the flow is there. Now, what do you do with it? Um, um, I often come to the point where speaking about flow of music, say, how do you control? How does one control flow? Looking at the river, what do you do to control a river? Do you tell the water what to do? Do you organize them? Do no? Well, what do? You don't deal with the water. You deal with the terrain. You change the terrain. You dig a canal. You build a dam. You don't tell water what to do, right? So
Right.
this is completely different than this notion of leadership is telling people what to do based on whatever. People have different ideas. No, no, it doesn't have to be like that. So flow is definitely. I mean, this is if I have this key in my hand, but this is an object. It's a liquid, but because of the glass, it's an object. I can move it as any other object. But if I look at water as flow, then I understand that controlling or leading or directing should be done in a completely different way. So that's the idea of the flow. Now, uh, the other thing that was in that little quote that you brought was that you're looking for forms or patterns within that flow. And I think that's what we do always, all the time, you know. We are in the flow of meeting people, but we are tuned to, okay, this nice lady has spoken to me, more times today, and it seems that, maybe she likes me because she seems to be, oh, this gentleman is asking for my advice, and he keeps doing that. So maybe he really, either appreciates me. You look for patterns. I was speaking only about now frequency, but there are many many patterns in music and in life, and we depend on that. So immediately we have this duality between fluidity and word chaos is too often used, but something that's beyond our something is going on there. There's a flow, but in the flow there's a lot of complexity we're not maybe aware of. And the other side of it, of the duality, is the form. So fluidity and form. Now I think those two make a very interesting, what one might call, I didn't hear it often used, but complementary contradiction. I mean,
Complementary contradictions.
yeah. And what is a complementary contradiction? And I don't want to pretend to be an expert on contradictions. It's a whole, philosophical and logical and whatever. But from my humble knowledge, the idea is very interesting because it says, look, if you have complementing contradictions, let's take. We spoke about fluidity and form. Let's take another one. Let's take knowledge and ignorance. We also mentioned that, right?
Okay.
So at a certain level, knowledge and ignorance are, in the way of one another, right? If you're an ignorant, that means you don't have knowledge. The moment you have knowledge, you are less ignorant. So they kind of aim to
Yes.
nullify one another.
Yes.
But on another level, knowledge and ignorance support each other. It might sound strange, but for a person with a certain kind of reflection, self-reflection, when you know that you're ignorant on something, you'll probably go and look at the internet, or open a book, or ask somebody who knows. Your ignorance, your awareness of it will push you and even the other way around. If you're a very knowledgeable person, especially if you're a knowledgeable person, you will be aware of the
Of
things
the
you don't know,
yes.
on the things that, as to quote, that you don't know that you don't know.
Yeah, there is a very old people with our experience
Yeah,
in terms of demographic. I mean, long time ago there was these Johari windows, no, where you know what you don't know, you don't know what you don't know, etc., etc., etc. And
right.
one of the manifesto of the Liquid Minds Hub is it's about curiosity, and I can relate curiosity exactly is where your knowledge tells you that
There's
you are ignorant in,
that there is some
and,
gap,
and then there is a spark. There should be there
right,
should be
right,
there should be a spark where, okay, I am ignorant in these things. Let's see if I can manage to understand, to know more, to inform myself.
and yeah, and you bring me to the third level of that complementary contradiction, which
Okay,
which says not. First one was they contradict in the way that
repel.
they nullify each other.
Yes, they
Second one
nullify.
was they support each other, and the third one is the most interesting and the most, I would say, even mystical in a way, in which they become each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least one of them can become the other, and that's that's a little more again. Okay, let's think. How can knowledge become ignorance? Well, we know so many people that are knowledgeable to a degree that they are ignorant of what they don't know. Yeah, they didn't break that. You understand?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so many people are stuck there. Oh, I know. For 30 years I've been doing that. So
Yes,
they become
yes,
ignorant, but it's not this veil of ignorance that you put because you understand that you need it. But
absolutely.
we can play with it more. Even to go back to the other two, fluidity and form. You can think of when you want something, you want a beautiful statue. You don't want it to melt, and go away. So that's the first level. Or the second level is where fluidity supports, let's say, form. Just if you have something completely solid like glass, and you move it around, it will break. But if it has any kind of possibility to move a little bit, then it still will retain the form, but it will not break.
Yes,
So that's kind
yes.
of flexibility. Another term, and the third one, where the fluidity becomes form. Yeah, if you have a mold, you have to have something liquid to fill that particular mold. Um, Now, if you want to use the
Let,
same iron for something else,
let
but
me go into another. I totally get into this, and you have no idea how much I share this view. You have no idea. Now let's take this exactly this conversation about the opposite that complement each other, contradiction, etc. And let's bring it into individualistic because I think it's very much related to orchestras, okay? Which is individualistic talent and capability of working as a team. It's if you think about it, don't you agree that it's pretty much the same? Like
complete.
you need, I mean, you need to be extremely good as a soloist musician. I don't know. I can imagine the first violin, or you can teach me. I mean, the one that is a talented virtuoso violin, but he has to work with an orchestra.
That could be devastating for some people. Yeah, I mean, definitely there are. I completely agree with you that the solo versus ensemble is this kind of contradiction, and we are looking to, first of all, not to have this dissonant, which may kill either one. We want to find a way that they support each other, that your
Yes,
soloistic abilities will help bring the team to an upper level, and that the team with its abilities will make you even a better player because
yeah,
there was something you can take from the team.
yes.
uh, and then this third level, this third elusive level of people in great orchestras, when they have a great maestro, they always, I mean, not always, but very often you will hear something like that. How's the conductor? Hey, it's wonderful. I felt as if I was playing my own, interpretation, my own feelings, my own way of, and miraculously it was with everybody else. That means that the conductor has somehow brought them to the place where each one of them, or hopefully most of them, feel that they're not obliged to be,
Yes.
but that they play what they want to play individually in the way that they want to,
Some
and some
sometime yes, it's like sometime when I teach in sports team and they say that well you have to think for the other and says, listen, in a fluid, the flow that we are talking about, right? If you reach that flow, don't you think that the best place to be an individualistic person is a team? That's the best place. Because if your team allows you to bring up your talent to the maximum level, then it's kind of a mixed reward, you know. I am very good, but I am very good because I have a team, and the team is very good because they have my talent, and it kind of is not
Completely.
nullify. It's not nullify, but it adds up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the trick. There is a real trick there, which is not easy. Not easy. I mean, really, I mean, quite rare. I mean, not easy is not another good word.
No, they
As you
are
said,
quite rare.
it's very rare. Um, you know, everybody knows that it should be this way, but how to do it? Um,
Let,
yeah.
let, let me add something because it was the next question is about the little video of Muti.
Yes, please.
No, I'm sorry, it's not about Muti. Wait. It's about Kleiber.
Kleiber. Yes.
Sorry, Kleiber. Because Kleiber says, uh, I would like to be redundant.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
would like not to be not necessary. And I think this is an amazing insight. An amazing insight. A leader understanding to be a leader, telling people that I would love not to be necessary. But right now in corporation, Italy, they tell you the opposite. You need to be critical. You need to be essential. You need to be indispensable. You need to be unique. You need to be, if people feels that if they don't go to work for 2 days, the company will fail down and crumble down like a earthquake, which is a totally lie. Now, I think that is a crazy thing that Kleiber said in front of an orchestra where you know pretty well that the musicians are looking at the conductor to be conducted.
Right.
And that
Right.
was very deep.
Yeah, but okay. So being the fluid minds that we aspire to be, we understand that the word conductor or leader or even the word redundant is always to be taken, should always be taken in context. It
Yes.
doesn't always mean the same thing. It's a very fluid thing, like language, uh, in general. So when he says redundant, like when I say ignorant, uh, um, I think he means redundant in the way, not that his knowledge or ideas are irrelevant, but rather that they're so embedded already in the organization
Yeah.
that it might be that he had a great part, and he had. I mean, all those great conductors you might mention, they all have great part in setting up a platform on which they somehow lure the orchestra to, or force them, or whatever, whatever the leadership style is. But they get the orchestra on the platform, and the best conductors know that once they are on that platform, they will change it. And the conductor says, okay, you're on the platform. This is already the source of. So my idea is there, but the form that I found in the fluidity of the music is already there. But now, trusting you, I support your efforts to make it better, to make it different, to make it fit to your. And if I'm successful, then I am at this point have become redundant, and this is what he wants to be.
Let me ask you a question. And this is something that you wrote about your mentor, Bernstein. And is something that I really enjoy when I read it and I listen to you, which is you need to spend time with your people. And you need to spend time in a simple and jovial and human relationship way before you go into the game or meeting or concerto or whatever, right? So there is a part of the leader who needs to be in touch with their people for real. I remember when you wrote about your week with Bernstein, and everybody, you student were, and he came and talked to you, and everybody was like waiting for something to happen, but it was just talking. That was really interesting.
Well, the thing is, you know, again, everything should be related, of course, to the way you, for example, lead your people. I mean, if somebody builds the whole notion of leadership on authority and distance and the fact that, this on a pedestal, whatever hero is giving you some orders, while he himself, mostly he, has a line of communication with Mozart there in heaven, and everything comes like that, and you have to just obey. Well, in that case, you will not spend time with the people. It will simply not help your a way of doing things. But if you are inclined to trying to reach deep into the human experience of people, so that when they have their clients coming to them, whatever clients, they will not just see a source of income, they will see a person, and
Yeah.
they can identify with the problem, and they
Yes.
can they can make themselves another contradiction. It's me and
Yes.
you, the best one, maybe the most important. They can somehow liquidize themselves into being the other person, putting yourself in the mold of the other person. And then from that, you can have the dialogue. So if
Yes.
you want to create a dialogue and you want to do it eye level, you have to empathize. You have to be that person in a sense. And with Bernstein, it was so clear because he really talked to people on all levels. I mean, today it wouldn't even be legal to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
times were different. I
Yeah.
mean, and if you didn't get a hug, a big hug, and sometimes a kiss, sometimes it was okay. Well, let's say verging on the inappropriate, certainly in today's terms. But I mean, the fact that you knew that physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, all these things are part of the conversation, then you could bring it in the music. It was not just about playing professionally those notes, or even being knowledgeable of the traditions of how to do that in an expressive and stylistic way. No, it was about your own sorrows and your own aspiration as a musician. You want your own voice. With Bernstein, I mean, it's quite unique. People, again, not always, but many times, said he brought me back my voice. Again, this contradiction that you mentioned, spoke about, between the individual and the team.
Yes.
And so it's so important. You're playing in a 100, musicians playing in the same orchestra, 20 first violins. They all play exactly the same. If somebody there can help you feel that it is your voice that is truly blending and contributing and becoming part, the transformation. It's not just that you are okay, you're aligned, you're in line with everybody else. The sound that you're playing, the sound that you hear around you, is your sound. You have ownership on it. It's your voice. And if somebody can do that, they can maybe tackle the most terrible problem, especially when you have people like musicians with their own individuality, their own talent, their own special way of artistic thinking, maybe egos and all that. It's so important to let them bring out this voice. Otherwise, they'll be frustrated and they'll sabotage the work.
Let me ask you one more question, because it's this is so interesting. We need to do a second part of this
Mm.
conversation because it's so interesting. Listen, what about fun? Fun, fun. Because you have to know the Scuola di Palo Alto, which is my company here in Italy. We have been acknowledged we've been around for many, many years, but we have been acknowledged for the positive company. Positive means solid, resilient, capable of overcome situations. But we have been the evangelists, if you want to use a very strong word, of people needs to have fun. Let me ask you a question. When you reach that flow with your orchestra, do you think that your musicians are having fun playing?
I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, this is almost a synonym of having fun, but that means you have to work quite hard until you get to this thing
Yes.
of fun. I have to say something. I don't want to discourage you or our viewers, but Lenny Bernstein, who I consider really one of the greatest. Of the greatest, he told not only me, but it was something he repeated. I think he said that if I'm in that flow for 5% of the time, I feel lucky. You know, I'm being at one with
No.
the orchestra,
Yeah, absolutely.
at one with the composer, with the audience, with myself, with what I planned, what I 5%. And you know
Yeah.
how it's one of the things that helped me a lot in my professional career or careers, because you know, if you think, I'm not having fun, they're not having fun, you know, how come it's only 5%? And you say even the greatest of the greatest know that it's not like you, okay, you're great CEO, you're a great maestro, then it'll be fun all the time. Not at all. Not at all. You have to work for it. Well, I've seen Bernstein really spitting blood. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but even the trying to get the orchestra musician to the point where they understand the value of having a dialogue of the sort we talked about. You know, all holistic, where you bring yourself in. People say, you know, I'll just play for you. I'm a professional. You tell me what to do, I'll do it. And I say, I don't want you to give me that. I want to know really about your, you know, personal life through music
Yeah.
and your thoughts and your ideas and you know, uh, and they didn't understand. And to make them take this position of an equal in a dialogue, that took a lot of work in which he did not have fun all the time. But
No.
that was the key to, again with Kleiber, the same.
Yes, but absolutely no, no, no. I'm not discouraged. I'm very much encouraged by what you're saying, because what I teach when I teach teams, and I teach teams to get to high performance, which is a process.
Mhm.
So when I start with a team in a company, in a corporation, and say, listen, you're not going to be able to be a team tomorrow. It's going to take time, sometime a lot of time. Many of you will not make it. So life is a little bit like an orchestra, okay? Like many of you will not make it,
Mm.
but if you make it, if if you reach the nirvana, I called it the nirvana, the bucket at the end of the rainbow, okay? If you reach the nirvana, I assure you that you are going to work much more, not less. You're going to work much more, you're going to fatigue much more, but because you are fatiguing with your team, is going to be a kind of fun experience. So in italiano, alla fine voi riuscirete a divertirvi.
Dear, dear me.
Okay, so you're gonna have fun, which is divertirvi. It's a little bit different than just having fun. Okay,
Right, right,
it's
right,
a little bit more philosophical,
right,
contextual thing. Okay,
right,
having fun. You know, the English sometimes a little bit shallow as a as a as a language. Okay,
right.
so I'm telling them, or I don't know if you agree with your so great experience even with orchestra, that if we reach the flow that we want, and that can be 5%, why not? Uh, but at the end, it's going to be fun.
Yes, yes. Listen, I think that one of the advantages of working with music is that everything happens here and now, immediately. So
Mm.
even if even if you start something and it really doesn't go that well and it's not together and people are not there, but then there's this moment where just for 10 seconds everything goes, groove into the groove, and then you can stop and say, and everybody knows what they heard it, you heard it. This is it. This is what we aim to do. So it's easier in a sense that I don't have to wait to the end of the process, but you can, like, you can collect those holy moments, those
And
beautiful.
don't you teach them how to recognize that moment?
Well, if they're good musicians, they will know.
They will know. Okay, so I let's go to corporate. I think if you're a good manager, you need to recognize, because I've seen many of my people that sometimes they're doing just great thing, but I don't know.
I agree with you that this is why a conductor would stop at this point and say, this is recognizing, acknowledging, complimenting for this moment.
So the conductor would do that. They
Yeah,
stop and says,
yeah,
this is what I want. This is what we want."
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This is what we're aiming for. This is the moment. This is the kind of coming
So
together.
this is kind of, let's raise your awareness of where you're going.
Absolutely. So, and the good thing again is that it's an advantage that you don't have in big organizations. Everything is transparent to everyone. They hear. Sometimes you need to tell them, listen to the flutes, but they are
Yes.
able to hear them. You cannot say, listen to the guy sitting on the seventh floor in office number
Yeah.
7065,
Yes.
because it's just not possible. But so this kind of getting this kind of a network of communication slash transparency so that people will be aware. I think this is one of the most important things that managers can do. You know, that you become, also with conductors, you become the kind of a loudspeaker for this lady on the seventh floor in her office, and you become her loudspeaker to her colleagues. It doesn't have to be all that didactic. But in an in a way, think of the word conductor. It's funny, but the word conductor, if in English, is, if you wanted to connect a light bulb to
Yeah.
you need a conducting. So a conductor is not about something that comes
Yeah.
from you.
Which I think in your language is different.
In my own language, in Hebrew, it's
Yeah.
it's the opposite. It's a very hierarchical, like you are the winner being on top. It's
Yes.
like chef in France, yeah, chef d'orchestra.
Yes.
But in Italian, okay, direttore. It's also,
Direttore.
yeah, yeah. It's also dialect.
Which is kind of an old word, direttore.
But what do you say? What is the other word you say?
No, conduttore anche.
Conductore, you
Conduttore
say?
d'orchestra, maestro.
Ma- yeah, maestro. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, that the origin of the word has to do with actually being the line through which energy and ideas and flow. So you don't have to. You're not called the generator. You're the head of the orchestra, but you're not supposed to generate. And then make sure that it's being done. You have to be aware of what's happening and connect. That's why you're a conductor. And it's not about you. It's about your ability to connect other people in the organization.
Okay, that was really flowing very fast. But I have one more question, and it's about music.
Please,
Um, if we start from the phrase that we were talking about, that you hear music and you should hear some harmony daily in your life, like, and if you understand a little bit about music, what would be the music that we should hear today? I mean, is more of a jazz, crazy, dystopic, sometimes annoying, because jazz can be annoying music, or it should be much more classical, or rock, or whatever, pop. And now that we have My son is an expert in music, and he likes to talk to me about new genre, etc. So,
Lucky.
so I understand that the music can be always the same in corporation. All right. But right now, my concern, I don't know if it's yours, is that I don't listen music. I listen to room noise. I don't want noise. I want music. So there is a big metaphor there. Big metaphor. Because classical music is very structured. I don't know. I'm just understand that it's extremely structured. You need maybe jazz or quartet are more crazy. So do you have to like all the music?
Well, I don't think you can, expect everyone to like everything. Even people that like certain kind of sport and moving their
Okay.
bodies don't like all the sport. Um, 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 Again, it's in the context. Sometimes you need this kind of music, and sometimes you need another kind of music. Music can validate something. Music can serve to silence something that you don't want to hear, which is, you want to ignore something. Music can be, disruptive in the way that, it takes you out of your, let's say, static position and makes you dance or whatever, or improvise or sing. So all kinds of music can do, I think, many things. But it's important, I mean, to maybe ask yourself why you avoid certain kinds of music. What is in certain kinds of music, let's say music that young, your son, my daughter, they listen to different music, and sometimes I find it annoying, as my parents probably found the Beatles annoying. Maybe not my parents, but the people of their generation definitely. So, what is it about it that is for you uncomfortable, or et cetera, et cetera? And maybe it will tell you something about yourself. I mean, this is one of the things music can do, is really reflect something. Like any good art, you look at a good, great painting and you see yourself in a certain way. So, I would say, everything, but. Yeah, like many other commodities, sometimes you take music for granted. Just it's a kind of a nice noise. I mean, Sir Thomas Beecham, who was a great English conductor and also had a great sense of humor, did say that. He said the British don't like music; just like the noise it makes. So yeah, he was very critical of his own.
That was really good. That's
Yeah, but he was very funny. So kind of cynical British. Yeah, so people like the noise. It's it's but if you really listen, then you might learn something.
yeah.
And I think if you look, the main thing is the musical idea is to look at something as a flow. So
Yes.
you stop seeing. I cannot, it would be a bit presumptuous to me to say, I'm sitting to this table or desk, but if I am aware of the fact that everything is made of atoms and everything is moving, then I will see this as a something. No, it's okay. But within the everyday experience, people are moving, flowing. This guy that you always label as he's always a stupid Christian. No. He might have learned something. You might learn something from him. People are on the move. Processes are on the move. If you simply look at life and people and objects around you as flowing things in flow, then you will change the way you treat them. Because as we said, you don't
Great.
treat flow as an object.
That's just great. I think that in our manifesto, when I think about liquid, I was thinking about as you said, water or some liquid. But now that you're talking, music is a perfect metaphor because it's liquid too. It is liquid, but it has a form. It has to be a form or not.
Both,
Yes,
both.
it need
Always,
to be.
always.
Need
It's
to have
always
a form, right?
but you may find a different form than I. This is why we play Beethoven for 200 years, because you find different forms and you bring them out. And because the music is so great and so rich, it's possible to do. Wouldn't be possible with stupid music. You understand? So it's open to interpretation, and while it's there, it's for us to be liquid enough ourselves to keep looking for things and not accept them as they are.
Totally agree. I mean, 120% Itay. So let's wrap it up because I promise you to do it in 50 minutes. And look, it's already 50 minutes. It's incredible. Now,
It is, yeah.
yes. So one advice. One advice. Let's give our audience one advice about what's coming, because a lot of things are coming. We don't actually know what, but I don't know what's coming, but I know it's coming. That's something that I live by.
Right,
I don't
right.
know what's coming in corporation. I don't know if Amazon is going to be get bigger and Apple is going to, and Google is bigger and bigger, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. That's the real thing. I have no idea, but I know it's coming. So what would be one advice that you give to the corporate world?
Well, it's a big,
Yeah, well,
but one advice I would give myself and people that I meet is, you know, um, we are the creators of meaning in our world, right? It's
yes,
up to us. It
yes,
doesn't mean that we do it not taking account of reality. I'm not a post-modern, or a woke that thinks that, maybe everything comes from your own feelings and, the way you feel about the world is the world. No, there's reality. Things will come that you don't know. But how to prepare yourself has to do with acknowledging that there is a core of you, and you are the one giving meaning to that. You are the one choosing whether you go with this or you go with that. You agree with this, you agree with that. It's. I think it's very important to keep nourishing your own core by
yes,
knowledge. But of course, I think it's so important to be politically aware and immersed in society and have some kind of community. All those things, all those nets that are serving for everything, intellectual, psychological, um, again, support of the community is something
great. So
so important.
keep preparing yourself.
Yeah,
Keep doing it.
keep preparing yourself, but not as a a bubble that says, okay, the world is the world, and I'm myself, and that's
No,
no.
no.
You're part of this. Keep
Yes,
taking care of yourself by creating those nets, by keeping aware, but by knowing that what happens in the Middle East is your problem, not only just problem. What happens in Ukraine is my problem, not only their problem. Everything is essential to create this core.
yeah,
And then whatever comes, there's you.
makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Itay. It was just great
Enrico.
to talk to you. Thank you. And
Thank
I
you.
hope I hope to have you here again in
Let's do
some other
that.
time.
I enjoyed very much. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Ciao.